It is the weekend here, so maybe they've got some maintenance tasks going or something like that as well. So we have a group. Some are choosing to be a group performance. Some of them are going to be solo. They have 3 minutes to perform a song, or not a song, but tell a story or do poetry. And they're going to be judged, on things like aesthetics, quality of lyrics, quality of the performance, what have you. They do have to be original works.
Ho, ho!
Alright, Candrel will be one of the replacement judges here, and replacement for someone who had to actually take off due to real life doing its thing. My Saturday's going great. I'm actually having a fun time here today. The nice thing about my weekend is I get to kind of chill out and sleep in a bit, get up, and now I get to be here and do this broadcast here for you. Heading home, getting in some gaming myself, along with typical housework. Alright, we have got our first performance here happening in just a sec. I am not trying to say LOTRO is real. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. I don't know if you guys want me to read this out loud or if you would just rather see the text. Let me know in chat which maybe you'd prefer. Alright, I have 1 vote for reading it. Alright, I will read it. Yep. The gates had been shattered, the wastes were laid bare. Inside many ventured, but they did so with care. Among these great champions a hunter does hail, from the old lands of Linden, or so goes the tale. By the name of Wim this adventurer went, and by Círdan of the Havens this tall elf was sent, deep into Mordor beyond blade and withered flower, to reclaim the Palantir, great weapon of Gorthauer. For to Lugburs he travelled, o'er that which was left, to claim his grand prize, and to avenge a greater theft, in the late hours of an uncounted day. The hunter arrived there, yet, to his dismay, the ruins were not empty, as prayed he had. Not a dwarf was there, in ironclad. With soft voice he spoke, daring not to upset this fearsome warrior, who immediately uttered a threat. These riches I claim for the now grim of yore. Let it be known to thee as it was to those who came before. As Wim looked about him, his courage was failing. For the ground here was littered with the dead and the ailing. Your threats harm me not, you foolish dwarf, so he spoke, for defeat you I will if you continue to provoke. I have beaten many, as surely you see. What hope do you have against a foe such as me? The dwarf drew his blade and prepared his attack. Yet it was distance, not strength, that he seemed to lack. Baffled he was, for how could this be? A single strong arrow straight to the knee. Beaten at last, the dwarf was amazed by the skill of this hunter who could only be praised. Ever shall the arrogant fall to the truthful, yet never shall I sway from being rueful. These riches you may keep, if you still, as I desire but one thing, and take it I will. At last he came, secret as could be, though still seen by all, for the seeing stone was placed on a pedestal dark and strong, shimmering in the moonlight as it had for years so long. The prize he claimed, Wim turned away, hoping to soon forget this day. Soon to be honored and hailed for his respectable feat, he was content for all requirements did he meet, to return to his home as lord and land, where ever tall he shall now stand. By the mercy of Wim, the dwarf's life he took not the gold, nor his life, from the moment forward till the day of his days. End of his days. He remembered the one who taught him the better ways. Very nicely done. Sorry I couldn't quite catch all the lines there, but I did the best I could. Nice performance on that one too. They clearly coordinated not just the lyrics and that, but their actions in conjunction with it, and truly did a great job. Nicely done. I have a feeling that's got to be one of the contenders. A very strong start indeed. Let me turn down the pipe noise just real quick. There we go. Perhaps I should put a little music in the background too, but I don't want to influence the performance too much, so maybe I'll kind of leave it clear audio. The second performer is Bolston, with a solo performance here today. Bolston, a very fine-looking dwarf, showing off a warrior's garb for sure. Greetings! My Scottish isn't good, so I can't do the dwarf. Much like last year, I shall tell a personal story fraught with much peril. "'Twas the time when I was a lad. Many were my sisters and brothers. On this night we went quite mad, escaping the eye of our mothers. Out into the open we went. with full thrill-seeking intent. There we made the decision that our axes must have a collision. We sought battle with monsters, and we found one little goblin. We rained down on it as hunters, intending to put it in a coffin. Over hill, over lake, over quarry, we chased our very own quarry. The creature proved truly elusive, but for us it was quite abusive. The scum was soon overcome. It was cornered, about to be murdered. And these verses I can't tell the curses that the brat from its mouth had spat. It was then that my head was hit, and with that came a booming voice. Our game we then had to quit. Mother then made her noise. I thought I had made it clear to leave our young brother alone, and to not drink your father's beer, she said like a torrid cyclone. Never in the dwarf nation had there been such imagination, and never before had our mother rained on us such devastation. Nicely done. Nicely done. I agree, amusive is a very good word. I look forward to our sound effects filter to move away the drinking and the puffing and keep the cheers and what have you. Time for the third contestant of the evening, or the afternoon, as it were. Or I suppose the morning, depending on where you are. If you're out in the Pacific somewhere. We have an elven tale. From Mr. Kalethalion. Kalethalion. This is the parable of the tribe of Hildorian. I think it's one of the Harnkeggers doing that. In a time all but forgotten in the years of the sun, the people now called the race of men first awoke in lands east of east. Alone and bereft, scattered, living in small groups with none to teach or tend them. Food was hard to find in the valley where dwelt the tribe of Hildorian, and predators were never far. So few things dwelled in this valley that, by strange coincidence, every plant and every single animal came in a single color. The terrible creature that stalked the lands was brown, always brown, while the bramble bushes bore berries that were always red, and the tiny lizards that breathed puffs of poisonous air always purple. The strangest part, though, was that each color was used by only a single thing. Nothing in the valley was red, save the bramble bushes' berries. Nothing was purple, save the tiny poison lizards. Nothing was brown, but the great shambling bear. Since every color had only one thing, and everything only one color, the simple language of the tribe had a curious property. Only one word served for both. For how could you have different names for purple and lizard if everything that is purple is a lizard, and everything that is a lizard is purple? So had life gone for the tribe of Hildorian for many generations, until one day a terrible storm blew in from distant peaks. When the sun returned and the smoke blew away, a path was opened to a valley never before seen by the tribe. The hunters were frightened at the thought of exploring an unknown land, perhaps full of great dangers. But the tribe needed food. So they gathered their courage like a cloak about them, and ventured forth, full of fear and wonder. This new land was full of plenty, untouched by the hands of man. Eagerly the hunters began to gather plump purple berries. Yes, purple berries. For there was something no one in the tribe had ever known. All the men of the tribe were colorblind, seeing only in shades of gray. For how could anyone have known? Even a man could tell a berry from a lizard. So even a man could tell red from purple. But one amongst the tribe on that day was a woman. Brave, fierce, and strong as any man. She had won a tenuous place amongst the hunters, while around her the other hunters eagerly gathered berries. She stared in awe at a thing she could not name. "Reds are not reds, reds are purples," she said, but the other hunters stared at her in confusion. How could a red be a purple? Did she think the berry would slither and breathe poison? But if she could find no words to say what only she could see, the hunt leader worried perhaps the strange new place had broken her mind. She was a woman, and although she had proven her skill and courage, Perhaps women had no place amongst the hunters after all. In time, she chose to recant her impossible claims. Of course reds are reds, and what else could they be, she said. She did not wish to be thought maddened, or unfit for the hunt. But she knew that, even if she could not explain it, could not name it, there was something new here. Something no one else could see or understand. And when the hunters would return to the hungry tribe, their baskets full of meat, hides, fruits, and furs, and they would be hailed as heroes, what might happen when the rest of the tribe saw what they had found? Interesting. Quite the interesting parable, I would say.
Ho, ho!
I, too, was on the edge of the seat. I did not know where that story was going. It was quite well done.
Hurrah!
Next up is a young hobbit. Let's see if I can get that drinking farther away and still see the text. Maybe a little better there. Mr. Patwise. The moral is always listen to the women in your life, Clamdring says. Oh, that last one actually had additional stuff going on in the text that describes an emote in the chat window. That's interesting. Hadn't actually thought about that one. Guess I will leave it up. Here comes a story of Pillard the Old. And again, this is Patwise. For Pillard the Old was Pillard the Bold. His feet could walk hundreds of leagues away. Merry his mouth would sing long all day. This story begins in Shire Old. A story that I have been told. Our hero was looking north and said, "Now let me ride forth, and to behold that ice with my own very eyes." Peers into the distance. May I sing the lore, not sung of before. Patwise sings a short song. In the morrow had no sorrow. The pony, the oldie, in pair, clean air, on, gone. Patwise hails everyone. When his feet first felt the frosty snow there, he said, "This is nice, but more I will fare." A wide river they met. Pony ran home. Through the land where bears and wolves all roam. But Pillard was never in doubt. All I want is to be about. And Endley he met a troll, with 12 crows around its knoll. Then in the snow he fell. Patwise fainted it away. Nevermore the Shire smell. The moral today. Don't wander away. Stay in your hole. Achieve no goal. But smoking? Patwise begins to smoke. And joking. Patwise laughs. Today. Good day. Finn? Finn. Interesting, I will have to keep the chat window open. Well done, Patwise. I would love to narrate an audiobook. I don't know that I've got the pronunciation for all of the Middle-earth pronunciation. That would be a lot of work. But I've always wanted to do an audiobook. I agree. Interesting use of meter in that one as well. Trying to find myself in a place that I can be a little bit out of the emote range, so I'm not picking up quite so much smoking sounds. Two more contestants. Looks like we are running just a little bit long. After the show, I will mention that we have Zahn coming on for some very cool, much more kind of hardcore gaming thing, because Zahn's a very skilled player. So we should be seeing some nice action, Lord of the Rings kind of combat and stuff. If you're into that, stick around. We are going to be having Zahn's show after today's festivities. And it looks like Bragg is up. Another solo performance here, Bragg of the Lonely Mountain. Oops, a nice theatrical outfit. Please forgive my meager garb. I am a far-off traveler from Villia by way of Landreval. I share with you now a cautionary yarn often told around the fire at my favorite tavern, the Green Dragon Inn. On stormy nights, when the wind is a-blowin' and the trees are a-rattlin'. The terrifying tale of Bartolo Boffin and the Great Barrow. The tale I tell today 'tis true. A ne'er-do-well who came to rue. The day he set out from the Shire, with dire plans did he conspire. To ferret out a fortune far from farms where up he grew. In fact, his friends were far and few. He sheds a single tear. Bartolo, a boffin born. A bully whom the Baggins scorned. Was a trial to kith and kin, for sins too sundry to begin. And so at 33, out he was tossed, and none did mourn. Not even Uncle Bingo was forlorn. Shakes his fist in the air. Rather than soil his lazy hands, a daring deed instead he planned. To raid the tomb of us, Othrongoth, at tales of the dead he'd often scoffed. And live a life of leisure laced with loot that he would land. Think furry toesies in the sand. So he set out cross the Marish. Swam the river, nearly perished. Hauled from dock and crawled across to Buckland. Quaffed a few brews from a pub he ducked in. Nice. Steeled with liquid courage to face forest old and scarish. In fact, it was nightmarish. In fever dreams, he finally emerged. From frenzied forest, fears discouraged. But he knew that he'd found the barrows. And harrowing cold seeped in his marrow. As he shied from shambling shades, reciting dirges. Poor pathetic Parian, beset by scourges. He cowers in fear. At last at mighty Othrongroth, Edain burial mound of wrath, he hesitated on the doorstep. No riches could compel one more step. And amid his dark despair he turned his eyes aloft. And on the air faint echoes of a warming whistle waft. A whistle heard, now clearly keened. Stronger still and pure and clean. Afore the wound of Othrongroth, it brought memories of his family's croft. A soft and gentle touch of home serene. And suddenly he knew how stupid he had been. But before he could turn away, a shade of Cardolin's dismay screamed and reached to draw him in. Light's fury flashed amid the dim. And he felt his mind slipping away. A feeling he sore remembers to this day. When at last his wits he found, He descried 2 eyes a-twinkling down, smiling at his form supine, upon the branks of the brandywine. You halflings sure find trouble by the pound. And o'er the hills the odd man capered with a bound. He laughs. So Bartolo staggered home that day, a hobbit changed in most every way. He joined the Bounder's burly band, and always gave a helping hand. Ne'er again to speak of his journey's way, but the hair on his toes was ever more white than gray. The end. From Light the Beacons. They whom are having a podcast as well, lightthebeacons.com, Light the Beacons, one I've checked out quite a bit myself. Nicely done. A hobbity tale from a dwarf, yep. Really interesting. Dwero Scholar says in chat there's a poetical plugin that helps people recite these things so they don't have to type it on the go and can do a little bit better job of spelling and what have you. Allows for a slightly stronger performance. The last of tonight's performances, after which the judges are going to, frankly, I think, have a pretty big challenge ahead of them to decide who gets the gold, silver, and the bronze. So our final performance of the evening comes from Mr. Caver. Congratulations, Caver. Nice performance outfit there as well. Definitely wearing a different outfit than we saw during the games here earlier on. I want to say before I begin that I loved all the stories so far. Well done. It has been a wonderful event. I will be telling you a short poetic story about a time Gandalf visited the Shire. A lot of Hobbit-themed stories here today. Yes, you heard correct. Gandalf. He coughs, clears his throat. A pint of ale makes a good tale. A deer on a pier makes a steer. Riding fast in the Shire's misty cast. Catching the wind of a magic flask. Hooray, hooray, Gandalf is back. Come to the Green Dragon on my wagon. Let Bingo Boffin eat his muffin. Squish, squish, it tastes of fish. It may be a new dish. Oh, I wish. Then end. Nicely done. Not a very good muffin, I'm going to take, is the moral of that story. Be careful what you eat. Now the judges are going to have to do their thing. I don't know, I would be curious in the audience here, if you were the judge, which ones you would put at gold, silver, and bronze.
Hurrah!
The very first one certainly had a level of performance that I'm not quite sure we saw in some of the others, although that was a group performance as well, so there were some people to play off of. The quality of the writing in all of them were frankly very, very high. So my guess is it may actually come down to performance, aesthetics, and some of the intangibles, because when it came to the writing, I think, frankly, they were all on a real high-quality one. A bit of music while the judges confer. That sounds good. We maybe move over to that. Nicely done. Let me actually go cloak and move a little bit closer here. If I can find myself. Oh, actually, there I am. Ah, nice to see you in chat, Archelax. You guys did a great job there. I'm not sure if I had to judge, the quality of the writing, which one I'd choose. That would be an extremely difficult thing to do. They were all quite good. Nice. We even have a hobbit dancing on a table here. It is a party. Looks like we have got our winners here. I believe the judges should be announcing the winners here very quickly. This is the second of 2 events today, so tomorrow you can join us for the final events in the Harnkegger games, along with the closing ceremony, which will include a concert and music and other things as well. All right, let's get to the judging. Let me actually get my guy out of the way. There we go. All right, here are the results of the Harnkegger 2017 Poetry and Story Contest. And again, congratulations to all the participants. You all did a really exceptional job on your work. So the bronze medal and 10 gold coins goes to Bolston. Congratulations, Bolston. Our warrior-clad green dwarf. The bronze, and 1 point for the dwarves here this fine day. Winning the silver medal and 25 gold coins, we have Bragg. Very nicely done, Bragg. Congratulations. Another win for the dwarves here today. Now, finally, our gold winner. He was so excited he forgot to pick up his medal. Although they did just have the, Shire Drunken Merchant race too, so there may be some lingering effects of that. All right, our gold medal. 500 LOTRO points, 100 gold coins, a sturdy steel key, and 3 points for the nation of which they represent. Rongar. Congratulations, Rongar and team, for doing a truly fantastic job on the performance here today. I think it was pretty clear that it was a exceptionally strong start to the event, and perhaps one of the finest stories we've seen at this event here, at least for as long as I've been seeing it. So very nicely done for all of them. Congratulations to our winners. I'm not quite sure how they're going to split up the final gold tally, or to the tally in terms of the nations, because we have both a hobbit and a dwarf and an elf. Although I guess that also is part of the nice bit about these games, is that while, you know, the top 3 for the national standings are indeed elves, hobbits, and dwarves, they come together in service of story. And that is the end of the event here today. Thank you very much for watching. We are going to be back again tomorrow at around 2 o'clock Eastern. The events kick off at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, or server time, however you want to call it, with the fence run. This is in the Staddle on the Laurelin server. And then after the fence run, we're going to have the music event final. The final concert, one of the toughest competitions in the Harnkegger games, and then there'll be the awards ceremony and a closing concert afterwards. So we'll have all the festivities here. If you missed some of today's activities as well, you can find them both on Twitch or on YouTube. Again, youtube.com/Lord of the Rings, twitch.tv/LOTRO stream. Please give us a follow, give us a subscribe if you would on YouTube. I will see you back tomorrow. If you're having a great LOTRO day today, hope it's a good one. Stay tuned also. We have Zon coming on LOTRO stream here in just a couple of minutes. So, without further ado, I am going to call it a show. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you again soon. Have fun. It was fun.